Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Keesling.
And I'm Jerry Tope. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we present news we hope you find interesting and report on local issues and events. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We appreciate you watching DCTV. Today's show is live Tuesday at noon and usually rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. and re-aired on Friday at noon, 2:30 and 8.
Today is January 24th, 2017. Now here's the news. According to the Cortez Journal, 2 Durango men suspected of having sexual relations with a 14-year-old girl have been charged with sexual assault on a child. Miles Nakai, 22, and Louis Denver Smith, 23, were formally charged Friday in the 6th Judicial District. In addition to sexual assault on a child, Nakai was charged with internet luring of a child and 3 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. According to an arrest affidavit, Nakai provided the girl with beer, vodka, and marijuana on multiple occasions at the Durango Skate Park, 1300 Avenida del Sol. He offered her a place to sleep off the buzz, but also used the occasion to engage in sexual activity. On another occasion, he went to her house to serve her alcohol and sleep over. Nakai and the girl exchanged several messages via Facebook Messenger, including one in which Nakai asked the girl to keep their relationship private. The alleged sexual activity occurred in late summer and fall of 2016.
According to the Cortez Journal, dozens of potential jurors were dismissed early Thursday in La Plata County Court when the defendant appeared to be a no-show for his drunken driving trial. The only problem, the defendant was there the whole time, sitting among the prospective jurors. As the courtroom emptied with the judge's thanks, Shiloh Crowell, 32 of Arboles, made himself known to the court, according to those familiar with the scene. The exact details of the mix-up were unknown Thursday. Most of those closest to the case couldn't be reached for comment or didn't return phone calls, including Crowell, the public defense lawyer, Paul Warren. Judge Martha Minot declined to comment, saying it is an ongoing case. But according to third-party accounts, including District Attorney Christian Champagne, who was briefed on the incident afterwards, the defendant was unaware he was supposed to be on the other side of the bar to face trial. Warren, his public defense lawyer, apparently never met Crowell in person or didn't recognize him in the courtroom. He tried to call his client, but Crowell apparently had his cell phone turned off per instructions issued to those in the courtroom. Minot dealt with the situation in closed chambers, presumably to avoid prejudicing the jury pool. She also never called the defendant's name, supposedly for the same reason. About 9 a.m., Minot dismissed the jury panel. Defendants typically meet their attorneys and have several court hearings before going to trial, so it's somewhat an unusual situation. Justin Bogan, head of the Durango Public Defender's Office, did not immediately return a phone call Thursday night seeking comment.
This story from the Cortez Journal. A Durango man with a previous arson conviction is suspected of setting fire to a shed Thursday in South Durango. Dwayne Suazo, 51, was being held Friday on a $25,000 bail at the La Plata County Jail on suspicion of felony arson and obstructing a police officer, a misdemeanor. Police arrived about 6:45 p.m. in the 700 block of East 1st Street to find a large shed engulfed in flames, said Lieutenant Ray Shoup of the Durango Police Department. Suazo said it stood inside a shed next to the one on fire, holding something in his hand that was burning, according to police and an arrest affidavit filed in La Plata County Combined Courts. It appeared as though Suazo was about to start a second fire, so an officer grabbed him and pulled him out of the shed. Suazo is accused of fighting with the officer and trying to hit him. Suazo was handcuffed and taken to the Durango police station, where he said he lit the shed on fire for revenge against his sister. He apparently used 2 lighters, newspapers, and other items to start the blaze. Durango Fire Protection District did not return a phone call Friday seeking comment. Suazo was arrested in September 2015 at the same address for starting a shed on fire. He pleaded guilty that year to misdemeanor arson and was sentenced to 90 days in jail with credit for time served. At the time, police said Suazo was dealing with some serious mental health issues and was possibly on meth. He was seen cutting things up with a knife and feeding the fire.
According to the Cortez Journal, Southwest Health System officials announced earlier this month the hospital will opt out of Colorado's aid in dying law. CEO Kent Rogers said Friday they will continue to amend their policy. Proposition 106 passed with 64.5% of the statewide vote in the November 8 election, and it was signed into law December 16. The act allows a terminally ill person with a prognosis of 6 months or less to live to request medical aid in dying medication and voluntarily end his or her life by self-administering those medications. It also allows physicians to prescribe such medication to terminally ill patients under certain conditions. The Colorado Board of Health approved new regulations at an emergency rulemaking hearing January the 18th. A hearing for permanent adoption of the rules will be held on April the 19th. Proposition 106 requires the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment to set the rules, facilitating the collection of medical record information from physicians in aid in dying cases, according to CDPHE documents. Southwest Memorial Hospital and Mercy Regional Medical Center have both opted out of the law. Southwest Memorial's Board of Directors unanimously voted to opt out of the law, according to a January 5 news release. Rogers recommended opting out after discussions with the hospital's medical staff, according to the release.
This story is from the Cortez Journal. All passengers aboard a tour bus that slid off Lizard Head Pass while on its way to Telluride were safe with no injuries, the San Miguel Sheriff's Office said Sunday. According to posts made to the San Miguel Sheriff's Office Twitter account, there were about 45 passengers on the Telluride-bound bus, most of whom were elderly. The Sheriff's Office had not responded to calls as of 2 p.m. Sunday. About noon Sunday, the Sheriff's Office posted that all occupants safe and being transported to Telluride, no injuries. According to a previous report, the passengers were stranded for several hours Saturday after the tour bus slid off Colorado Highway 145 atop Lizard Head Pass. The bus was using chains, but the pass was closed at the time for avalanche control. Details about the bus's route and how it was on the pass were unclear Sunday. Passengers were transported to Telluride by a shuttle and emergency responders. And now let's take a look at the weather.
We have been fortunate once again in that the worst of the current storm has gone to our north. In the Dove Creek area, we're expecting clouds this afternoon to tonight. These will still have snow in them. Another 1 to 3 inches are possible in that time. Winter storm warnings for the west end of the county ended at noon today. North of us, activity will continue to be heavier through tomorrow and Thursday. The mountains to our east will see activity through the day tomorrow as well, but intensity will drop through the day. Friday and the weekend we expect to be mostly sunny. Days will be about 10 degrees colder than pre-storm temps, and Wednesday through Friday night will be single digits. A low just offshore of Maryland and Delaware continues to lift northeast for the next few days. Rain, possibly heavy at times, is forecast for the northern mid-Atlantic and southern northeast region today and tomorrow morning. From the Appalachians to Maine, precipitation will likely be a wintry mix, shrinking to the northern Maine area by Wednesday morning. Snow and ice will taper off over the central Appalachians by this evening. Much of the Northeast has winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in effect. The system exiting the Rockies will spread snow and rain across the plains into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes region. Numerous winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories are in effect for this system from Wyoming to Wisconsin. Snow and lower elevation rain over the southwest and southern Rockies and snow over parts of the northern and central Rockies and parts of the Great Basin will begin to dissipate overnight tonight. But that snow will move eastward to the upper Great Lakes overnight, with some rain developing over parts of the western Ohio Valley. Snow may become heavy at times. High pressure will build over much of the west and limit onshore flow, so precip over the state of California will diminish by late afternoon and tonight. Portions of the Pacific Northwest are forecast to have a few valley rain and mountain snow showers. High temps over the next 5 days will run from upper 20s to mid 30s. Lows will trend down from tonight's near 10 to lower single digits through Friday night, then begin to climb up a bit to the upper teens by Sunday night. And now back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, the devastating spruce beetle infestation in the San Juan Mountains has crossed the Continental Divide, and within the next few years will spread into the high country around Durango and Silverton, leaving in its wake an expanse of dead trees. The spruce beetle epidemic started in Wolf Creek in the late 1990s, and because of the effects of drought, warmer winters, and densely stocked forest stands, the insect's outbreak rapidly intensified. Over the past nearly 2 decades, the spruce beetle tore through more than 120,000 acres of the Waimanooch Wilderness, which at 488,210 acres is Colorado's largest designated wilderness area. And recently, the infestation has made its way as close as Vallecito Lake, about 20 miles northeast of Durango, mainly feeding on Engelmann spruce trees at higher elevations above 9,000 feet. But within the past year or so, Mountain Studies Institute's Anthony Culpepper said the spruce beetle finally found a way to cross the eastern flank of the Continental Divide, near Silverton, a natural barrier that had kept the insect at bay. Last summer, field surveys found increased spruce beetle activity had started to kill off tree stands in the high country between Durango and Silverton. Popular areas that include Coalbank Pass, Cunningham Gulch, Yankee Boy Basin, and along the Colorado Trail near Stony Pass. It's too early to speculate how devastating the infestation will be in this portion of the San Juan Mountains, but among forestry experts, Wolf Creek Pass stands as an example of the worst-case scenario. There, spruce beetles left nearly all mature Engelmann spruce trees dead, a jarring sight for motorists traveling the remote mountain pass. The landscape was further decimated by wildfires in 2013, known as the West Fork Complex.
Last week's CO2 report is in at 406.14. Week before last was 405.98, and 1 year ago was 402.62. 10 years back was 382.20. On Wednesday, NASA and the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration announced that globally, 2016 was the hottest year since modern record-keeping began in 1880. It follows 2015 and 2014, which were the previous highs. Durango 2016, the average global temperature was 1.69 degrees Fahrenheit above the 20th century average. Several places also reported historic high temperatures. New Zealand, India, and the Arctic all experienced record warm years in 2016. For the U.S., 2016 was the second warmest year on record. In California, 2016 was the third warmest on record, at 2.8 degrees Fahrenheit above the mean of 57.4. Scientists say no land areas were cooler than average during 2016, and the top 5 hottest years, 2016, 15, 14, 2010, and 2005, all happened in the current century. Most of the warming is due to greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide that trap heat in the atmosphere. Only about 10% during 2016 was attributable to El Nino, according to the scientists. How quickly we get to 1.5, that's really a question of how much carbon we keep emitting, says Gavin Schmidt, director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. We're closer than we'd like to be, he said. Right now, we're only 4 degrees away. According to NASA, the Earth's average global temperature has risen about 1.1 degrees Celsius since the late 19th century. As for 2017, it will be another warm one. Schmidt says because of La Nina, it will likely be cooler than 2016, but he still predicts that 2017 will still make the top 5 in terms of record-breaking global temperatures.
According to the Cortez Journal, the Colorado Supreme Court will hear oral arguments in Montezuma County's long-standing tax dispute with Kinder Morgan in March, leading to a decision about the $2 million that hangs in the balance. Legal briefs from both sides were filed last year after hearing oral arguments on March 7th. The court will deliberate and rule on the case, said John Sarchi, public information officer for the Colorado Supreme Court. Its decision is final and exhausts all appeals. Millions of dollars of dispersed tax revenue is at stake, county officials said, including $942,000 that was distributed to the Montezuma-Cortez School District and $513,000 that went to Montezuma County's general fund. The complex case began in 2008 when then Montezuma County Assessor Mark Vanderpool concluded that Kinder Morgan had underpaid its county property taxes by about $2 million. The company's taxable value increased by $56.7 million after Vanderpool rejected a Kinder Morgan request for tariff deduction for transporting its CO2 gas, saying that Kinder Morgan didn't qualify because it owned more than a 50% owner of the Cortez pipeline. The pipeline carries CO2 about 500 miles from the McElmo Dome and Doe Canyon to Denver City, Texas. Kinder Morgan paid the higher tax bill for 2008, but petitioned for a tax bill adjustment, claiming that it did qualify for the tariff reduction and that the county's retroactive valuation on its CO2 production was not authorized by state statute. The higher valuation was upheld in 2008 by the Montezuma County Board of Assessment Appeals, composed of the county's 3 commissioners, who at that time were Gerald Koppenhofer, Larry Rule, and Steve Chappell. Current Montezuma County Assessor Scott Davis said that if the Colorado Supreme Court rules in favor of the county, Kinder Morgan could be liable for millions of dollars in back taxes. Since the legal challenge, Kinder Morgan has continued to claim the disputed transportation tariff deduction.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, the Southwest chapter of the Colorado Native Plant Society plans to host a free presentation on managing the invasive oxeye daisy and Russian olive on Tuesday, that's today, January 24th, at Fort Lewis College. The meeting starts at 6:30 p.m. in the college's Lyceum Room, Center of Southwest Studies. Mountain Studies Institute of the La Plata County Weed Management Program and San Juan Mountains Cooperative Weed Management Area are evaluating the effectiveness of chemical and non-chemical treatments to curtail oxeye daisy. Botanist Amanda Kunze will discuss management of the plants as well as a partnership to remove and replace Russian olive trees in the Animas River watershed. The Russian Olive Project is an effort between MSI, the Southwest Conservation Corps, La Plata Open Space Conservancy, and the Animas Watershed Partnership and La Plata County. Kunze leads MSI's programs for community management, engagement, and citizen science, as well as participating in field projects that capitalize on her botany, restoration, and stewardship expertise. For more information, contact John Breger at johnbregar09@gmail.com.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of January 16th through the 22nd. A man was arrested for violation of a protection order and outstanding warrants out of Dolores County and Cortez Police Department. A deputy found a stranded vehicle on Highway 491 south of town and gave the family a courtesy ride to Dove Creek. The snowstorm caught a motorist out of Texas unprepared when their vehicle slid off Highway 491 and was stranded unexpectedly in Dove Creek. A deputy assisted the motorist with a courtesy ride and assisted in coordinating the Good Samaritans for a motel room. The next day, the Assembly of God Church provided the tow truck. The motorist was able to continue on the next morning to their work site. A report of a vehicle that had run off a county road caused by icy conditions. Received a report of a tour bus that had slid off Highway 145 near the area in Rico, Colorado. Colorado State Patrol responded to investigate the accident. That's it for this week's Roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates. Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m., and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 p.m. each day respectively.
And check us out on Facebook and the YouTube replays. Like us there, join the local conversation, and share it with a friend.
For Jerry Tope and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Keesling. Thanks for watching.